Salutations and welcome back to my channel, and a happy, very belated new year to all of you. It has been a hot minute. It has been a while.
It's been a while.
But we are back, and we are talking about an interesting phenomena that I have been following sporadically throughout the years. I say that as if it's been a lot of years, but basically throughout the last couple of years. So let's get into it.
I think a lot of women fool themselves into thinking they can do it because they're like, well, anything he can do, I can do better. Right? It's like, we're not men.
Yeah.
And acting like one doesn't give us the upper hand. There's no shame in saying, I want the soft life. I want the emotional connection. I don't want to have sex before there's a commitment on the table. That's not you being weak. That's you embracing your femininity.
Yeah.
And realizing that that's important too.
Yeah.
So next is going 50-50 with a man. That's masculine. Paying all of the bills, that makes you a man.
I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the key to life is to start enjoying it, especially as a woman. Lean into your feminine energy and let yourself flow, feel, be free. Feminine energy is not about fitting into a mold. It's about connecting with your true self and letting that radiance shine through. The more you enjoy your life, the more you're attracting everything you want and more. And honestly, everything you want and better.
Sometimes as women, our environments and circumstances force us to be in a state of taking action and survival and leading, and that's not what we were put here to do. And the longer that you stay in that masculine energy, the harder it is to allow your feminine side to start to blossom.
One thing about me, I'm stronger than I know I am. But with that said, I have absolutely zero desire to find out how strong I can be. Like, give me a soft life. Give me a soft life, Lord God. I do not need my strength tested. I know I'm strong and I know I could be stronger, but this level of strength is enough. It is actually enough.
Oh, what a man can do, a woman can do. Me, I cannot do what a man can do. I'm a soft girl.
The girl boss is officially dead. Vogue, you know, the Vogue ruled over for decades by the girl boss par excellence, has described the girl boss as cringe, pastiche, and embarrassment in her dedication to the rise and grind. Articles have been littering the internet since 2021, lauding and speculating into the reinvention, the evolution, but mainly into the demise and death of the girl boss and her cultural moment. The original girl boss, the author of the best-selling hashtag girlboss and self-made millionaire Sophia Amoruso, has completely reinvented herself. She is now ready to retire the girl boss label for good because, you know, she's gotten her bag, or rather her $9,000 shirt. But what's just as important is not so much the retirement of hashtag girlboss, but her replacement. Sophia no longer wants to be associated with the girl boss label, pretty much dismissing her entire book and its legacy as, and I quote, a thing.
I've tried to write a second book. I published 2 books after Girl Boss, which was a thing.
Not only has Sophia's mindset shifted, but noticeably her entire look. The tight brunette bob, dark eye makeup, and cool, edgy girl look is gone. Now she's blonde, her makeup more natural and airbrushed. She frequently dons the classically feminine red almond nails. The palette is more old money and subtle. Her Instagram aesthetic is the epitome, not of a girl boss, but of a woman traveling, enjoying 7 perfect days in Italy or Bali, and being, well, soft. She's all about embracing failure as a businesswoman, the hustling mindset that went behind building a $100 million business is gone. And this is very intentional. Nobody wants to be associated with the now pejorative girl boss tag, and Sophia's new outlook and general look speak to a cultural and workplace trend that seems to be in perpetual rise. Sophia, like many women right now, is in her soft girl era. So what is a soft girl era? But you know what era you really need to be in? All of us need to be in the era of saying yes to pleasure. It's 2025, and yet in our age of sex and body positivity, younger generations are having less intimacy, and most of us aren't happy with our sex lives. It feels like having more fulfilling, intimate relationships, experiences, and sex is seldom really thought about when it comes to happiness. Hell, there isn't even a word to be said about having better sex when it comes to living the soft life. And that's why I Know Beducated is an indispensable treasure treasure trove of educational content curated with love and care by the world's top experts in everything. Absolutely everything sex and intimacy related. Now, if you haven't heard me praising Beducated before, I'm surprised. But basically, Beducated is a platform where education and pleasure harmoniously meet. With over 100 comprehensive and diverse online courses, Bedukated's philosophy is essential for our day and age. Good, meaningful, and happier intimacy doesn't just happen. We need to learn, and we all deserve to have fulfilling relationships, not just with others, but with our own minds and our own bodies. And Beducated is truly for anyone, where you can start and continue your sexual exploration journey in a fully non-judgmental place, in the comfort of your own bedroom. I've personally been enjoying using Beducated for my emotional well-being and improving the emotional connection in my own relationship. And several courses are helping me so much with this. Checking in not only with my partner, but with myself to essentially audit our relationship and how it's going has been truly revelatory in understanding how our needs and our wants change so frequently. And actually, it's really opened up the space for us to communicate about things that are so vulnerable and are so personal. I would never have imagined myself able to speak honestly and candidly with my partner about things that have really improved our relationship immensely. And it's also really dawned on me how Bedukated's courses have followed me through my single life, my dating life, and now my coupled life, with all its excitements and its new challenges. And overall, this really does show the breadth of what Beducated has to offer. Now, the new year is often a time where we set goals, and oftentimes these goals have nothing to do with really improving our happiness. We oftentimes sadly set ourselves up for failure, myself very, very much included in that. So why not prioritize happiness this 2025? With this, and I can attest to it, absolutely indispensable resource. By using my code Kidology, you can get an additional 10% off Bedukated's current discount of 50% off your yearly pass. And that means you get an astronomical 60% off your Beducated yearly pass just using my code. And that's not all. You also get a 24-hour free trial and a 14-day money-back guarantee, which makes Beducated entirely risk-free and transparent for you. So if you want to get not 50, but 60% off your yearly pass, be sure to use my link down below to begin your truly indispensable journey to sexual happiness. Thank you so very much to Beducated for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to exploring the nitty-gritty of the soft life and what it really means. There's definitely an aesthetic component to it, prioritizing self-care, mindfulness, and embracing what are considered conventional beauty standards. But more importantly, a soft girl era is about unlearning masculine and modern expectations about what makes a good life and relearning what it means to be feminine. Some have called it a reclaiming of overt femininity, associating it with the popularization of trad wife aesthetics and lifestyles. It's all about reconnecting to who women really are, to a kind of heritage of femininity. You don't have to be a trad wife to be a soft girl, however. Sophia Amoruso is no trad wife. She's still a businesswoman and entrepreneur. However, her entire rebrand suggests a reclaiming of femininity, a reconnecting to her feminine roots, not just in her lifestyle, but in her business practices. She used to be the reluctant leader of a pseudo-feminist movement, appearing on magazine covers and red carpets, leading woman, and clearly adopting the very masculine trait of pursuing her unbridled career ambitions at all and pretty much any cost. But being a soft girl is about appreciating the harmony or complementary dynamic between the feminine and the masculine. Feminine attributes and qualities are prioritized and they are glorified.
To start unlocking your feminine energy, you need to get out of a survival mindset. For a lot of my girlies who are working, a lot of you guys have mostly masculine energy. Masculine energy is all about controlling the situation and working really hard. Feminine energy is all about trusting and receiving. Get into the habit of having a soft life.
We do not cross over to the masculine. Oh no, we do not. As soft girls, no, we do not. Now Sophia has no interest in leading women. She wants less, she wants peace, she wants to travel more, and she wants love. Men are no longer her foes or her competitors. They are her preferred business friends, especially when it's between them or going to fancy lady conferences attended by Katy Perry. You know something's up when a former girl boss chooses schmoozing with businessmen over sitting on a female empowerment panel with Katy Perry. But it isn't just former and present girl bosses who are entering their soft girl eras. There's also a widespread trend of celebrities embracing their inner soft girls. A perfect example of a celebrity entering her soft girl era would be Ariana Grande's aesthetic and career shift in recent years. Gone is her signature pulled back ponytail, her exposed midriff and thigh-high boots. Her dangerous woman and 7 rings branding invoked independence, rebellion, and destructive relationship dynamics. She was a bad, independent, largely brunette homewrecker, girl bossing her way through an annual album release. Now, she's settled back into her love and passion for musical theatre. She stopped getting filler and Botox. Her elven, Audrey Hepburn features are exaggerated. She's slimmer, daintier, blonder, and softer. It isn't just in Ariana's looks, but noticeably in her priorities, both romantically and professionally. A lot of controversy around there, but that's the story for a different day, I guess. Happiness for Ariana is the priority now.
Before Eternal Sunshine, I was not happy to be doing it. I was not happy about it. And I'm very happy about it. I love it. I've loved every step of this album cycle so far, and of Wicked, and of the lead up to Wicked, and the audition process. You know, it was just like a very informative and nutritious process. And I think it brought me home to everything I love and helped me reprioritize, you know, that my relationship to those voices, to art, to everything.
This is Ariana's soft girl era, and it's no wonder why the likes of her and Sabrina Carpenter are being presented as the face of this trend. Blonde, blue-eyed Sabrina Carpenter is having her cultural moment. She is often described as a real-life Polly Pocket, and surprise, surprise, this year has it that Mattel's Polly Pocket live-action movie is going to be a phenomenon bigger than Barbie. Like with Barbie and Polly Pocket, the soft girl trend holds a kind of nostalgia for the feminine and a belief that reconnecting with it is the route to happiness.
So many women do not think that they are worthy of princess treatment or of getting everything that they want and hope for. What they end up doing is they end up sabotaging it. When you sabotage someone else's efforts to give you the world, I mean, why would they want to contribute?
Because that is ultimately what the soft girl revolution brands itself as being about. It's about happiness, peace, finding your eternal sunshine. The feminine is the route to this happiness and peace, prioritizing love, and in this, attracting a complementary masculine energy to you so that your life can be soft, it can be stress-free, and it can be ultimately happy.
So I feel like the terms feminine energy and soft life are really getting thrown around a lot, and I actually love this because I think it's drawing attention to the fact that in society, the feminine energy is so valuable, so powerful, and so charismatic and life-changing. The feminine energy can create a person that is so magnetic and powerful in a way that's filled with love and beauty, where you actually just want to give love and positivity to the whole world around you. Eastern religions have been talking about yin and yang for thousands and thousands of years, so we're just embracing the yin aspect of this, which is creativity, nurturance, love, kindness. So in order for you to actually embrace these aspects in your own life, you need to first do it for yourself.
Your job shouldn't be stressful. It should be peaceful or a part of your passion. Nurturing children or nurturing your family are a big part of this as well. Hence why trad wives are all about femininity.
There are so many men and women using their social media to promote and showcase traditional gender roles because they are valued. In a world full of chaos, there is a shift happening where people are becoming more resilient and rebelling against that chaos happening right now. Women are proudly stating that they don't want a career and they want to be a full-time wife and mother. And the truth is, there is no higher calling than being a wife and a mother for a woman. Now, let me make this crystal clear. I am not undermining any woman who wants a career. If you want a career along being a wife and a mother, that is great. But being a wife and a mother should be your top priority always. And that is what is so great about this movement. Order is coming back into place in a chaotic world.
One thing that is very clear about this revolution is that it is indeed trying to revolutionize public perceptions of femininity. In modern societies, there is no question that femininity has been devalued. Masculine traits like confidence, drive, independence, and aggression are all the rage when it comes to successfully navigating modern life as a modern woman. In contrast, feminine traits are devalued. What we see so often is that if you want to be powerful, if you want to succeed, if you want to control your own destiny, then you need to drive, you need to strive, and you need to push hard. It's why in the past we have seen so few female role models who are not just another version of a man, sometimes even more masculine, which can lead women, and especially younger women, feeling that there is no way for them to be successful if they don't become that version of success. Basically, the soft girl trend is trying to change perceptions around the feminine, demonstrating that there is value in feminine traits, not just for society at large, but especially for individual women.
Instead of being hard on yourself, be soft and gentle. Compassion truly is just the softening and letting go of perfection and control.
This word soft was really profound for Sammy and I, because I think that we've put on this hard exterior or this criticism to move to the next level or to be able to get to the next step. So with this moment of actually realizing, I'm gonna be soft in my heart, and then I'm gonna be strong, not hard, I'm gonna be strong in my intuition, and knowing that you are always guided and that you are always supported in your journey allows you to let go of the control of why things are showing up and letting them in as this place to grow and to actually invite yourself in to be your best and highest self.
And it's not just Ariana Grande or Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift who seem newly invigorated by a kind of glamorization of softness in their branding. Even Kim Kardashian is in her soft girl era, you guys. Even if it isn't Kim herself, Skims has undergone a softening courtesy of its latest muse, the very talented blonde, blue-eyed Bridgerton star Nicola Coughlan. This campaign was the ideal of the feminine, a celebrating of everything soft. I've also noticed that celebrities who haven't gone soft girl haven't been doing too well career-wise, an indication of how the mood is shifting. Take Katy Perry. Her latest album was stereotypically aggressively girl boss, especially with its lead single Woman's World. Of course, if you don't know, the song and album were produced by Dr. Luke, who has been accused of sexual, physical, and emotional by singer-songwriter Kesha. The whole music video and album was pretty much dismissed as a very weak attempt at spreading empowerment and was Perry's worst reviewed album ever. Unlike Perry, however, a lot of former celebrity girl bosses have softened. Beyonce is no longer an out and proud girl boss. Like I said, soft girls and reconnecting with your femininity is about reconnecting to who you really are. Renaissance and Cowboy Carter were Beyonce's reconnection to happiness, escape, and a dynamic history of black dance music. It was her reconnecting to her childhood when she'd listened to country music with her grandparents, reconnecting country music to its African American roots. Renaissance and Cowboy Carter are two installments of Beyonce's Renaissance trilogy, and Renaissance means rebirth. There's a lot of symbolism in Cowboy Carter, and there are a lot of people who are greatly more versed in Beyonce Beyonce lore than I am. And so take this as a homage to soft girls and what I'm talking about in relation to soft girls. As I said, there is a lot of symbolism in Cowboy Carter. Beyonce is quite literally walking down her ancestors' bloodline. Black men and women stand together, something that is a noticeable contrast from earlier Beyonce's all-female style and music videos. In her rewriting of Jolene, Beyonce doesn't beg Jolene like Dolly did, nor does she commend Jolene's superior looks and the ease of taking her man. Instead, the lyrics are heavy on family values that Jolene's desperation cannot compare to. Jolene has no shot against a woman who's raised a man and his kids, who knows her man better than he knows himself. They've been deeply in love for 20 years, and through the trials and the ups and downs, she lets Jolene know that she, that is Beyonce, is gonna stand by him, he gonna stand by me. Beyonce and her man are a team, a complementary team. Since 2018 and the start of Beyonce's rebirth, she's spoken quite openly on trying to break generational curses, especially breaking from her quote, lineage of broken male-female relationships, abuse of power and mistrust. Only then I saw that clearly was I able to resolve those conflicts in my own relationship. Beyonce wanted to show how nothing gets between her, her man, and the family they've built together. Black men and women can coexist and can prosper together rather than falling prey to almost being socialized not to be together. In the same Vogue feature, Beyonce said the following about her ancestry. I researched my ancestry recently and learned that I come from a slave owner who fell in love with and married a slave. I had to process that revelation over time. I questioned what it meant and tried to put it into perspective. I now believe it's why God blessed me with my twins. Male and female energy was able to coexist and grow in my blood for the first time. I pray that I am able to break the generational curses in my family and that my children will have less complicated lives. The dazzling white throughout Cowboy Carter, as well as Beyonce's recent NFL halftime show, are an intentional, stark contrast from, for example, her 2016 Super Bowl halftime performance. The latter was very politically charged. It paid homage to the Black Panthers and Malcolm X, and her Black Panthers were noticeably all female. 2016 Beyonce was very much about being a proud and assertive Black Southern woman in that very empowered sense. Move on to 2022 and the release of Renaissance, and the mood is very soft girl coded. The album's lead single, Break My Soul, is no longer interested in the hustle and the grind. The lyrics, now I just fell in love and I just quit my job. I'm gonna find new drive. Damn, they work me so damn hard. I'm looking for motivation. I'm looking for a new foundation. And I'm on that new vibration. I'm building my own foundation. You won't break my soul. Not only am I probably the 1% of Black women who cannot sing, but I also have completely destroyed Beyonce. I apologize profusely. By the release of Cowboy Carter, the all-white, from the all-white horse to the attire of Beyonce's stunning platinum blonde look, is indicative of everything the color white represents. White represents cleansing, it represents purity, new beginnings, and healing. Spiritually, white is considered a healing color for the removal of pain and suffering. And this very much resonates with the numerous Black soft girls online.
I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, but being bougie and a Black woman is probably one of the most rebellious things that a Black woman can do. It is honestly such a contradiction that just riles people up, and I absolutely love it. Now, I've been Black and bougie all of my life, and I used to get bullied for it when I was younger. Now it's a trend, but I love it because what it is doing is that it is keeping your standards high, which means you are less likely to be manipulated. And we all know that having high standards just keep you from experiencing low quality anything. So if you need a reminder, stay bougie, my loves.
Although on the surface, a lot of it appears to be about leisure time and luxury living, there is a lot of depth to it. And I think this is testament to most of soft girlism. There is a lot of subtle depth to a lot of what is quite surface level. I just like to preface this segment by saying that this is just my analysis, it's my research and observation of the soft girl phenomenon, especially among Black women and girls online. And basically my analysis is that Black soft girls very much look to media examples symbols of Black excellence and Black abundance, as seen through media depictions of the Black bourgeoisie. Hilary Banks from The Fresh Prince, Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell, and Dionne Davenport from Clueless. The princess treatment that these characters are accustomed to and demand from especially the men in their lives is being re-evaluated. Their characters, especially in initial seasons, are dismissed or laughed at for being feminine, for being spoiled and privileged, basically for being dumb. Hilary, she's spoiled, living at home and off daddy's money in her 20s. She drops out of college and is portrayed as having no skills nor intelligence valued by society. But online and with the passage of time, it at least feels like people really love her. Not just because of her looks, but because of her very feminine traits. Even her ditziness is seen as funny, it's seen as adorable and authentic. What is most noteworthy is that Hilary didn't stress herself for anything.
Dad, I need $300.
You know, I think there may be a question that you should ask yourself.
I already did. I'm going to register at Tiffany's.
And this, in my opinion at least, is why these kinds of hyper-feminine, fictitious Black women are having a moment as icons of Black softness.
I love to hop from shop to shop and buy until I drop.
Basically, they have no stress. They're no longer just seen as spoiled brats, superficial or materialistic, in as much as they are now being seen as icons, not just in their style, but icons into how Black women should be treated and should live in society.
One of you pointed out somewhere that Dionne doesn't let the clothes wear her. She's wearing the clothes. She looks gorgeous and confident in every outfit. They're flamboyant, they're chic. She wants to be seen. She's okay with being seen. She's super confident in being seen. This is her home. This is her place. She doesn't just wear a cap. She wears a crown that's flamboyant and vibrant. She is sexy and cute because she has this confidence that no one's taking advantage of her and her body. And if they do, her parents will sue them to high heavens. The vibe we get from her, princess, protected, cherished, treasured. These clothes are not her costume. She's not cosplaying for acceptance. This is who she is. She is the center. She's the one to be emulated. She's the desirable one. We could totally see her in 2022 rocking a Gucci tiara. Now, she's not doing this because she's Black. She's doing this because this is what the girls in her status, her area of life do.
Noticeably, all these fictitious icons come from sitcoms and films where they are shown to be in very loving, supportive, and stable families. Hilary may have been dumb as dirt, but she still loved her family. She was spoiled, but you still rooted for her. According to the Black soft girl narrative, these characters' hyper-femininity is an example not of their weakness or privilege. It's an example of resisting a long history of Black women having their femininity erased.
Hyper-femininity is a style. It requires intention, like any other trend. Why is it so particularly hated and derided among Black content creators? First, that intentionality and female agency in choosing to look like that can trigger people who are insecure about their class or they're insecure about their manhood. Because behind the hate is this question, who do you think you are? How dare you deviate from the standard of beauty I have in my own head? If you celebrate your Blackness and happiness, what does that mean to my self-worth, which is predicated on you thinking of yourself as less? And how dare you be more human than I'm comfortable with? If you are pretty and soft and tender, how do I justify fetishing you or abusing you in online contexts? This agency rattles people who can no longer own us physically, but seek to own us psychologically and mentally so that they can stay comfortable. Hyper-feminine Black women, especially those that take pictures of themselves and post them, are literally adding and injecting to the culture a new story and new images about what Blackness looks like.
Model Megan Milan makes videos that are a very interesting commentary on this. As you can see, she is an exceptionally beautiful, elegant, wealthy, and soft Black woman. And she basically makes videos in which she publicly showcases her Black hyper-femininity and has captured public reactions to it. Now, I completely get that some people's reactions to seeing influencers in the wild is going to be negative, but there is something to the rarity of Black elegance and femininity being celebrated, especially publicly. And I think it's quite telling that whilst I can find hundreds of soft, elegant white models doing their thing in the wild without anybody batting an eyelid, who knows, maybe people are just immune to them, a Black woman doing it is like, And this speaks to how Black soft girls online have a very particular kind of Black role model. As I've said, they look nostalgically toward bougie Black women who physically and in their lifestyles exude luxury and no stress. Black soft girls don't necessarily care about money in as much as they care about how that money can signal class, can signal their upper class standing or pursuit of it. It's about signaling that you're an upper class Black woman, as opposed to signaling that you're a rich Black woman. Megan Thee Stallion and Ice Spice may be rich, but they are deemed, quote, hood rich. According to Black soft girls, their wealth doesn't signal class, but rather a clear lack of it. Hilary Banks may not have a dime to her name, at least in the first couple of seasons, but she is of the upper class and enjoys that quiet luxury lifestyle. And that class is what you are signaling as a Black soft girl. From the recreational activities that you do, horseback riding and tennis are a big thing with Black luxury women. The traveling you do, the expensive yet conservative, understated clothes and brands that you wear, the people who you surround yourself with. Black soft girls online celebrate Black upper class femininity, being treated well and looking good. One thing that is very common among them is that they are typically religious, which clearly instills a love for, as well as a prioritizing of family and a clear value system around honoring the feminine as complementary to, as well as dependent on the masculine. That is, the masculine as leader, as protector, as provider, even in the modern context of being a career woman. Many of these soft girls are noticeably career women, whether it be in influencing or being a business owner. Thus, being a daddy's girl, being spoiled and treated like a princess is viewed positively. It's a clear indicator that a woman is protected, that she's loved and nurtured by her family and loved ones. And this takes me back to Beyonce. She's in her platinum blonde era. There's an elegance to her, an interest in generational things, family values, and in God. There is the ultimate softness. Now, what this all represents, from Ariana Grande to Beyonce, from Black soft girls to soft girls in general, from trad wives to rebranded girl bosses, is that softness and a reconnecting to femininity can be associated with a broad range of online and offline communities. The quiet quitting trend has its soft girls in women quitting their jobs either completely or passively. Being successful woman in your industry doesn't preclude you from being and embracing softness. A prerequisite of being a trad wife is being a soft girl, and the intriguing rise of stay-at-home girlfriends is also inherently soft girl coded. Soft girls find their truly authentic and happy selves in the process of reconnecting to their softness. And in short, the argument goes that modern life is a grind that muddles and neglects the harmony which ought to exist between feminine and masculine energies. And this takes me to the question, why the rise of soft girls or soft girl eras? And importantly, why the perpetual rise of it? The thing is, trends tend to come and go. Brat summer is well and truly over. But I have seen soft girls, particularly the promotion of rekindling one's femininity and especially how modern women can reconnect with their feminine essence, simply gain more and more traction and more resilience over the past few years. And I think this is because of one very interesting phenomenon. Across the modern world, studies and surveys up until the early 2000s showed that women were unhappier than ever. The culprit? Gender equality, thanks to improvements in women's rights from the 1970s onwards. Economists Justin Wolvers and Betsy Stevenson's coined this the paradox of declining female happiness, in which they cited an interesting development, or regression, among women since the 1970s. In the 1970s, American and European women rated their life satisfaction higher than men. However, by the 1990s, women's overall life satisfaction and happiness was decreasing. By the turn of the century, women's rates of happiness and life satisfaction were lower than men's. This paradox was actually seen in real time in Switzerland. Fun fact, Switzerland was one of the last wealthy countries to give women the right to vote. In 1971. In 1981, Switzerland had a national referendum on whether women should be given equal pay for equal work. And although the referendum passed, two economists discovered that in the constituencies known in Switzerland as cantons that voted for equal pay, female happiness actually dropped compared to those cantons that voted against equal pay. Now, although some have argued that this paradox is probably short-lived or is in reverse because men's happiness rates have been decreasing rapidly as well, something is pretty much clear across the board all the way into more up-to-date research. Women are unhappier than men in unhappiness and negative affect equations, irrespective of the measure used: anxiety, depression, fearfulness, sadness, loneliness, anger, and they have more days with bad mental health and more restless sleep. On top of this, most women are also unhappy with how society treats them, especially because although women have entered the workforce at full speed, are outperforming men in both higher education as well as at school level, we are still overwhelmingly responsible for childcare and for housework. In short, gender norms lag behind gender rights legislation. And these norms are far harder to break with, especially as they relate to things happening within the private household. Because going to university and being in full-time employment are no longer the exception for women, but are the rule for women, it is no wonder that an overwhelming tension and dissatisfaction has arisen. And I think one very clear thing about soft girls on social media is that it is very diverse, and diversity is queen when it comes to the presentation of being in your soft girl era on social media. And because of that, it appears to be very inclusive. A major critique of most, if not all, waves of feminism are that they lack intersectional representation and interest. Being a strong and empowered feminist, especially in the media, falls heavily into the narrative that women don't need men, that our differences are increasingly becoming irreconcilable. While softness has increased in popularity, popular feminisms have been facing more and more backlash. And this backlash isn't just from men or from the red pill, but I would say increasingly from women. Instead of liberating women to act as they please, feminism has fostered a culture that prefers women to act like men. Without openly stigmatizing it, feminist messaging discourages women from choosing traditional femininity. Now, if you go through the history of Time's 100 Women of the Year editions, it's pretty much exclusively reserved for female CEOs, for businesswomen, political leaders or activists, female athletes who are constantly compared to men or praised for demolishing their female competitors, and provocateurs. These women are leaders, dominating in traditionally masculine industries and careers. There is a noticeable lack of celebrating feminine characteristics, feminine lifestyles and traits. The thing about being on top is that it is by definition very lonely. You can't very well bring the rest of the sex with you if you want to stand out from the crowds. And so there's this contradiction as old as time when it comes to female empowerment. Most women hustling or grinding their way to a better life are not going to stop hustling and grinding and aren't going to get to the top. Most of these women are also going to be responsible for cooking, for cleaning, child rearing, for maintaining their youthfulness, and attending to everyday feminine tasks that Time's 100 Women of the Year has no interest in celebrating or accolading. So in relation to this, it is very, very interesting seeing how many young women and girls are embracing being so-called soft girls over being labeled a feminist. The argument goes that many young women are seeing how older women, like their mothers, who are strong, modern, independent women, are at the same time exhausted and unfulfilled. One Swedish soft girl says that she was motivated to be a stay-at-home girlfriend because a lot of women feel burned out from their work. And I just think of my mother and her mother, my grandma and my sister, everyone. They're always so stressed. Their lives haven't been made easier by trying to achieve what is expected of modern women. The ideals of gender equality and feminism may have put money in the bank, but they haven't made them happier and more fulfilled. What's noteworthy about this trend is how apparently it's been gaining a lot of traction in Sweden. Now, Sweden is known for being one of the best OECD countries when it comes to gender equality. It has ranked first on the European Union's Gender Equality Index for the past 14 years in a row. Swedish women outperform men in school and have a noticeably high employment rate. 53% of Sweden's state-owned companies have a woman CEO. So it's noteworthy and quite perplexing to some as to why the soft girl trend has gained steam in the world's most gender-equitable society. Ungdomsbarometern. I don't think I got that right. I do apologize. But basically, Ungdomsbarometern is Sweden's largest annual survey of young people. And this survey is quite important considering that Gen Alpha are currently Sweden's largest generation when it comes to population size. So their opinions and perspectives matter immensely. The survey found that while only 3% of girls aged 7 to 14 identified as feminists, a considerably higher 14% identified as soft girls. Man, I love kids. And the survey summed up the findings as follows. This shows the clear impact of social media on children's value base, where easy to digest and visually appealing content tends to result in greater dissemination than politically charged or value-driven identities. The concept of feminist can be more difficult for a child to grasp than, for example, soft girl. Now, although I get where this analysis is coming from, I do find it a tad bit dismissive of what may really be going on. Young girls and women online aren't identifying with the soft girl lifestyle, aesthetic, and values simply because it's easy to digest. Yes, it is visually appealing, but so is the propagation of strong, badass women, of dark academia women who also had their trendy moment. The soft girl, however, has outlived her trend cycle and is very much still with us, and the Swedes, clearly. Based on everything I've said, I think it's fair to say that what's really appealing about this trend and about this lifestyle is how it celebrates feminine traits that modern society and political feminisms dismiss as weak, how it relates feminine concerns and traits to finding happiness, and how happiness is the priority.
Choosing to live a softer life is one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. And what I mean by a softer life is I used to live a very masculine life. I was so stuck in my masculine energy that it literally ruined me as a person. I was so addicted to that adrenaline, to that rush, to the constant go, 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 that I went into medical device sales, and I loved med device sales. I did it for 4 years. I was excellent at it. I was really, really good at it. But this year, I burnt out. It got to a point where I hated my life. I was crying all the time. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I couldn't get enough rest in the day. I was exhausted all the time. Moving into more of a softer lifestyle where I only work out when my body is telling me to work out. I eat what I want. I now get enough rest, and it's actually incredible. In my relationship with my husband, I'm letting him take on the reins. I'm more feminine, I'm more in my soft era, and it's helping our relationship so much more because he gets to be the man in the relationship. When women live in their masculine for too long, we end up crumbling. And that's exactly what happened to me. And now I live in my feminine, and I'm so much happier than I've ever been.
I guess you could say I'm kind of a stay-at-home fiance, stay-at-home wife, because I'm not currently working right now, and my fiance pays for the bills. He pays for the mortgage, he pays for, the car payments, the utility bills, food, everything, basically. And the reason for that is because I was working in a very toxic work environment, and my fiance didn't want me, working at a job that I was miserable at. And it should essentially be the same with your men. Like, if you're working at a job that you're miserable at, or you're depressed at, or you're waking up every single day and you don't want to go, and he's seeing you go through that, and he doesn't want to try to fix it or help you, he just continues to see you be miserable, then you have to kind of reevaluate who you're dating, essentially. He should want you to be happy, not working at a job that you're miserable at.
In comparison to soft living, modern expectations placed on women are making them more stressed and statistically less happy. As I said, the soft girl trend celebrates femininity. It celebrates family, home, and beauty, things that have historically been dismissed by especially pop feminist narratives, telling women that they can have it all and can do it all. The trend, and some call it a revolution, celebrates feminine traits like vulnerability, subtleness, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, helpfulness, tenderness, empathy, humility, being modest, being a nurturer. This works contrary to everything gender equality reality and what a modern woman is meant to aspire toward. A lot of the wealthier soft girls on social media have rejected hustle culture or staying on in jobs that cause them anxiety. If they have jobs, they're either glamorous or glamorized, they're related to content creation, or allow flexibility. And I'll get back to this important point. One soft girl encourages her audience to turn their knowledge and work experience into a service-based virtual business, rent out their space, because everybody owns a house to rent out, and take their job on the road. One of her lines of advice: you might make less, but peace and happiness are priceless. And if we go back to studies and surveys showing that modern women post second and third wave feminism are less happy, the same applies to Swedish women. Swedish women living in the greatest gender equity in the modern world are more miserable than Greek women. Over 80% of Greek women do 3/4 of housework compared to a mere 35% of Swedish women. Let that sink in. So in this climate where young people are increasingly turning away from modern society, are critiquing a lot of the failed promises of modernity, where increasingly not just femininity, but for instance, black femininity and hyper-femininity are being celebrated, it seems telling as to why softness is making a resounding comeback, especially online. There have been a lot of critiques of soft girls, particularly stay-at-home girlfriends. The argument goes that their lifestyle choices and focus on femininity can backfire badly.
Coming from somebody who has been a stay-at-home girlfriend for 3 years, it's not the life you want.
Girlfriends theoretically have no legal security and there are clear financial risks.
When I tell you there was no amount of gifts, trips, nothing truly made me happy. And honestly, I convinced all of you that I was living the life. I feel like that's what a lot of women do. They try to convince themselves and everybody else that they're enjoying their life of not having anything for themselves.
If you give a man the power to feed you, he also has the power to starve you. Probably the most important and relevant thing that Cosmopolitan has ever published. Most girlfriends on TikTok are young, which statistically increases the chances of a relationship not working out. Between 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce in the US and in the UK. However, and I will play devil's advocate here, when you look into the reasons as to why couples break up, the top 2 reasons for men and women are growing apart and arguments. And for women, who are more likely to initiate breakups and divorce, money problems, a lack of respect, as well as not sharing household responsibilities were also major factors. And all of these reasons, to me at least, spiral into placing astronomical stress onto an individual and therefore onto a relationship. They also speak to modern women's stress surrounding housework, stressful jobs, and dealing with weaponized incompetence, etc. The one thing that is very, very noticeable about the soft girlies is that everything is geared toward making life as stress-free as possible. There's no bags under the eyes, okay? But on a serious note, I think this speaks to society's general ridiculing of softness and soft traits, including careers and hobbies. Being a social media influencer is still not taken seriously as a job, and I do think that has something to do with the fact that most influencing is female dominated. Most girlfriends seem to use their time and lack of having to pay bills to pursue or discover their passions, to discover new skills and interests. And I think what's interesting about that is that they are in a privileged enough position to be able to start their largely online or part-time businesses without the risk or fearing the financial costs of failure.
Welcome to a day in my life as a stay-at-home girlfriend who is using this situation as an opportunity to start her own business. And I am looking to be a content creator / women's life coach and feminine energy and manifestation coach.
The good thing about being a stay-at-home girlfriend or a stay-at-home wife is the freedom of chasing and discovering your dreams, your passions, without having to worry to pay the bills. If you are a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home girlfriend, you should be chasing your dreams, your passions, discovering yourself. My boyfriend has told me before that if I didn't do anything, he wouldn't want me to be a stay-at-home girlfriend because I would literally just be depressed at home every single day. And who wants to be around that? that. So whenever someone asks me, how do you protect yourself? I protect myself by being someone who has skills. I protect myself by working and saving all of my money. I never knew what job I wanted to have growing up. Never knew what I wanted to be. Because my boyfriend gave me the freedom to explore myself, to explore my passions, I realized that I am a very creative person. I love to bake. I love to do flower arrangements. I love to create content for social media. So for the first year of being a stay-at-home girlfriend, I had a photography business. While I was doing that, I was also creating content on social media. And last year, I started doing a lot more money on social media compared to my photography business. So what I do now, I am a content creator on social media.
They basically get to work, but without the added stress of making a profit from the get-go. And I think this may speak to, firstly, reducing that which contributes to most relationship breakdowns, stress, not having enough time for the relationship, and B, a misunderstanding of what staying at home means. There seems to be a misconception that staying at home means staying at home, doing nothing except looking pretty and being bored. In the 1950s, Tupperware parties were a very popular way for housewives to sell Tupperware products.
Come to a Tupperware party and see all the new ways you can lock in freshness.
So they were making an income whilst staying at home. I've always found it fascinating and somewhat sexist that these parties were not considered the schmoozing, somewhat cringy business gatherings that they were. These housewives and women were professional marketers doing business, hustling, competing with one another. Yet even now, Tupperware parties are written off as just bored housewives with a little hobby that made them some change. There's something to the ridiculing of so-called woman's work that is still present in things like content creation.
There's been a lot of negative discourse and scrutiny around the whole stay-at-home girlfriend and trad wives trend. When I was making those vlogs, I was simply just vlogging my lifestyle. Wasn't intending on promoting negative stereotypes, but I can see how it can be taken that way. The more important reason as to why I stopped is because I didn't want to be labeled a stay-at-home girlfriend. I think it really struck me when I went to an event and this girl came up to me and was like, oh, you're the stay-at-home girlfriend. Of all my videos, the 5 stay-at-home girlfriend vlogs were what stuck with her. I'm a content creator. I have an income from it. I put a lot of effort into my content and brand partnerships. Do I spend that income? Maybe, maybe not. My point is, I didn't want to credit my boyfriend, especially in areas he has completely nothing to do with. I just don't want my boyfriend's ability to take care of me to overshadow my broader work and achievements.
Being independent, having skills is very important, no matter if you have a provider man or not, okay? And don't let society tell you that female-dominated jobs are not valuable. I know stay-at-home wives who sell cakes, who do nails a few hours per week. I only work a few hours per week as well. There are so many things you can do part-time as a woman, okay? Don't lose yourself. Keep improving yourself. Doesn't matter if a man is paying for your bills or not. Keep chasing your dreams.
As I said, being an influencer isn't considered a real job. Like this stay-at-home girlfriend says, nobody's applauding her nail tech for making more money than most doctors. People only see her nail tech as a nail lady and not as the businesswoman she clearly is. And as a philosophical feminist myself, I do find these attitudes contradictory to the core values of feminism and gender equality. So I do think that some of the fear-mongering around soft girls, especially those who quit their stressful jobs or choose to pursue their passions, speaks to a miscommunication between, on the one hand, more traditional women who aren't actually as traditional as they may appear or present themselves as being because they are influencers or small business owners, and on the other hand, modern women who, like most of society, associates the word housewife, the word trad wife, and stay-at-home girlfriend with a history in which women were financial property, had no financial prospects, and couldn't opt for independent living. And I don't see this miscommunication being resolved anytime soon, especially with softness and femininity making a very stark and at times reactionary comeback. Although a lot of the soft trend is about how women being career-focused and hustling in their 9-to-5s is making them unhappy, I don't think it's always all about the job market per se. What I do think is contributing to a lot of not just women's but men's sense of unhappiness has a connection to how Gen Z, unlike boomers, are a relatively unproblematic homebody generation. We don't drink, we don't go out, we have less promiscuous sex relative to boomers, who are currently spreading gonorrhea like the plague in retirement communities apparently. Basically, we don't have a lot of fun and we don't have the money to do the things which on social media are presented as being fun. Not going out means that we, like Gen Alpha, spend most of our leisure time indoors, on our phones, on social media, or gaming. Social media sells an escape, an adventure, a life that is more fulfilling. As is the case with stay-at-home girlfriend influencers, social media tends to present what is actually work as a lifestyle. All of these experiences, these trips and PR packages aren't just to be enjoyed leisurely by said house girlfriend. They're to be documented, they're to be edited and posted for revenue and mass validation. They're intended to sell an image of a lifestyle and person that you watch because it's unconventional, because it isn't your life, because it looks idyllic. Beyonce may sing about quitting her job, but that's her job. Sabrina Carpenter may look like the real-life Polly Pocket, but the woman is grinding harder than her soft girl mentor Taylor Swift these days. It's an influencer's job to sell you a story of their soft life, which is their job. So if the stay-at-home influencer girlfriend and her boyfriend do break up, she may have to make some adjustments, but for the most part, she'll be okay. I mean, all of them seem to be gifted a G-Wagon from their boyfriend, so there's at least 100K in the breakup fund. But I do think that beyond the privilege, beyond the materialism, beyond the aesthetic content, soft girls have got something right. Their celebration of femininity is clearly a breath of fresh air for many women and girls. The message that there's nothing shameful about being feminine or exhibiting feminine traits and qualities is well overdue, and I hope that is the legacy that this trend leaves. But let me know what you think. Are soft girls a threat to women's rights? Are they as inclusive of all women and all-encompassing of femininity as they claim? Do you believe that your man should provide so that you can pursue your passions? I would very much like to hear your thoughts and perspectives. Please do keep it respectful. I'm assuming that people have very different perspectives and views on this. I, as a feminist, do find this a very interesting topic, and it is something that I have just generally noticed over the course of the past few years, a sort of reinvigoration and interest in femininity and in hyper-femininity that I otherwise didn't see growing up. On the one hand, it is very encouraging for me. On the other hand, it is quite perplexing to me. And so, as I said, I would love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on this. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see all of you very, very soon in the next one.